Okay, this is a quick guide in Arma 3 on how to snipe, specifically with the M320 rifle. So the first thing I'm going to go over is DOPE. That is DOPE, data on previous engagements. It's what a real marksman or sniper would use, and it's what you should make if you want to become good at sniping in this game. So what do I mean by that? Well, I recommend going into the virtual arsenal or a range that you can find one of the workshop ranges, and just going and every 100 meters, every 50 meters, however accurate you want to be, go through and make an Excel chart of where your bullets are hitting at certain ranges. So then when you're in game in King of the Hill or whatever game mode, you can estimate exactly where to aim based on the range. So I've gone through and made a little chart right here. I went every 50 meters past the 0 mark, and I figured out how far the bullet dropped in mils. So using this data, I can pretty much hit every shot, besides variables such as they move their head, they're walking, stuff like that. So for example, this target right here is 1,950 meters. And according to my dope, at exactly 1,950 meters, I should aim about 1.5 mils above him. So that would be about right here. And I missed.
Not my fault. Someone put a wall in my way.
He moved, I swear. Come on, Arma, I'm trying to make a video. Quit moving. Okay, hit him in the chest. That was probably upper chest. Should have been about the head. My dope might not be 100% accurate. I just got it a few minutes ago. You'll want to go through, take several shots, like I said, on the range, in the virtual arsenal, wherever, and be sure you're hitting where you want to hit. Try once more. Nah, just pretend to hit him in the head. It should have. You might be noticing right about now that there's kind of some issues with this, and they're not big issues. Most people can get around them, such as, in this specific instance, 1,950 meters, I need to aim about 1.5 mils above him. Well, it's kind of hard to see 1.5 mils, 0.5 being the easiest of the hash marks between the mils to see. You know, is that exactly 1.5, 1.4, 1.3? It's hard to tell, and this scope does not have, tenth of a mil increments, or, 0.25 mil increments, or whatever. But you can make your own. So what I did is I took a screenshot of my scope, and then I went into Photoshop. I took this, and what I did was, zoomed in on the pixels, I drew lines on each one. Then I went through and made hash marks in between. Once I was done with that, I selected by color and got rid of anything that wasn't black. And that left me with this. And then I did some mirroring, some flipping. This isn't a Photoshop tutorial, so I'm not really going to show you how to do this, but you can Google it if you want. Basically, you want a PNG of a reticle that you can overlay on Arma's reticle with a transparent background. So why is this useful? Well, you can download some software called Custom Desktop Logo. It's not exactly made for a reticle, but it does the job pretty well. And you can go through. What you do basically is you add that picture you just made to the folder. You'll figure it out. And you adjust the scaling, the location, so on. And then you get a reticle on your screen, or whatever picture you make. Obviously, it doesn't scale with zoom. That's kind of irrelevant for these kinds of long-range shots. And the only way to turn it off is to go into your taskbar, right-click it, hide logo. Kind of annoying. Perhaps you can make a Windows shortcut to start and stop the program. That'll work as well. That wouldn't be too difficult. So what it does basically is now you have hash marks. Each small mark represents 0.1, the larger one in the center being 0.5, and so on. So now, this 1950 meter shot, instead of guessing where 1.5 mils is, I know exactly where it is. There you go, see, perfect shot. Now I'll go and show you a different range. Okay, so now 1,850 meters. Well, where do I aim? Well, if you look at that chart I showed earlier, I will link it in the description or something like that. It's 1.4 mils instead of 1.5. Obviously not much of a difference. And that is past the 0, so do note that I am zeroed at 1,800 meters now, not 1,900. So once I zero at 1,800, at 1,850 meters, I aim 1.4 mils above him. I don't know where these bullets are going. Okay, that one hit, whatever. So this method works pretty well. Okay, so you might be noticing a problem here as well. You're not ever going to be at exactly, at least not often, at exactly 50-meter increments. That's where estimation comes in. So you can, if you wanted to, get dope, figure out where all your shots are hitting every 10 meters or so. It would take some time. I don't have the time for that, but if you do, that'd be great. So let's say you have dope for every 50 meters. Well, you're going to have to guess. So if I move forward some, alright. So once I moved forward some, where are we at now? 1,800 meters. Well, that's kind of a bad example. Let's move back a little bit. Okay, 1,822 meters. That 22 meters might not sound like a huge difference. It isn't really. When you're at 5 to 700 meter ranges, it's not a huge difference. You can just kind of guess and take a shot really quickly. But at 1,822, the bullet has lost so much speed, it is falling so quickly. So instead of 1.4 mils, where we aimed at 1,850, we're going to have to kind of guess. So we're at 1,800 and let's say 25 meters, that's close enough, out of 1,850, which is where the 1.5 mil drop is. So if it was linear, it'd be about half that. Instead of 1.4 mils, it would be 0.7 mils. So I should be able to aim about 0.7 mils above him. Let's see, it's 5 right there, 6, 7. And that should hit. And that should hit. I really should have recorded this on the range where the people aren't swaying. You can't really tell, but he's swaying back and forth down there. So every time I miss a shot, it's left and right or something like that. So about 0.7 mils. And logically, because it is a logarithmic path, so you can guess that instead of half, it'll be a little over half, so 0.7, 0.8, around there, and that's basically how you do it. It's obviously a lot easier at shorter ranges and a lot harder at longer ranges. I only have dope so far out to about 2,000 meters. Most of my shots are within that. Occasionally I'll get 2,300 meter, 2,200 meter shots on King of the Hill, counter sniping, but that's not all that often, and in those cases you can shoot next to them, kind of figure out where your bullet drop is. It wouldn't be that difficult to go even further on the data, but I decided not to do so. Another useful skill in Arma 3 is figuring out how far away your target is. If you have rangefinders, laser designators, etc., this is pretty easy. I would recommend using those instead of this method. So what you do is you take the height of your target in meters, or works in any units, in Arma 3 in meters, you multiply by 1,000, and then divide by how many mils the target takes up. So in this case, that's about 1.1 mils, give or take. So what I want to do is multiply the height of the target, which in Arma 3 is about 2 meters, give or take 0.1 meters, something like that. So 2 meters times 1,000 is 2,000, divided by the number of mils I calculated, which was about 1.1. And I get pretty close to 1,820. So if you feel I've left anything out, anything important that maybe new people need to know, or even people who've played for a while don't really know all the mechanics, just comment it. I pretty much see all the comments. If I think it's important, I'll tag it at the top, pin it, so everyone can see it. Okay, well, thanks for watching.